Alrighty. Well, I'm so thankful to be here today. Like was said before, I'm a school counselor, I'm a husband, and most importantly, I am a father. I have 4 beautiful kids, and they mean the world to me. But the world that they're growing up in is kind of a scary one sometimes. And there is a 4-minute timer before my slides come up. So freestyle here, just kidding. No, but before we dive into things, I want everyone here, just real quickly, close your eyes, look down, whatever you're comfortable with. And I want you to think about when you were a kid. I want you to think about when you were a child and how desperately you might have wanted to fit in. How badly you wanted to belong to something. Dig deep in those trauma wells, just kidding. But I want you to remember those emotions. I want you to remember how hard it was. And now, I want you to think of your own kids. Or the kids growing up today. You can open your eyes. Kids are growing up in a crazy digital age right now. And right now, the age of comparison, the age of social media, they're being impacted more than ever. And I should know, because as a school counselor, I am in the trenches with your kids. I see them every single day. I see them in the trenches every single day. They're in my office telling me things that they are not yet comfortable telling their parents. And I can say with confidence that right now, kids are struggling right now. And a lot of it has to do with the devices that we are putting in their hands. In 2024, Bark Technologies, they're a filtering service, they did a study. Every single year they do this study. And in 2024, kids in phones, 60% of teens were express suicide ideation on their phones, from their phones. 77% of teens engage with sexual content online from their phones. And 43% of teens engage in conversations around depression. Now, all of that to say, the whole method of, well, not my kid, this isn't gonna cut it in. So we hear the horror stories on the news about what happened to some kid on Snapchat, or what happened to some kid on social media, and we think, oh, my dad, that wouldn't happen to my kid. I don't know if you just saw those numbers, it's majority of kids. It's not if these things are happening to your kids, it's when was the last time it happened to your kid. Our kids are struggling, and they can't afford for us to be ignorant anymore. Social media and the opinions of unkind people are pushing them down a really dark path. I know, because it happened to me. So story time, this is me. It's when I was about 6 years old, but I got my first pair of glasses when I was 4. I remember because I was sitting like this close to the TV, and my mom was like, "Can you see anything?" I'm like, I can see everything. And she's like, "I think you need glasses." I'm like, "Nah." And so she put my little Optimus Prime toy on the counter, walked me away like 10 steps. She's like, "Open your eyes. What's on the counter?" I'm like, "A flower." She's like, "You're blind. Let's go to the doctor's office." So we went to the doctor's office and got me these glasses, and they made my eyes huge. I mean, these aren't just like, there's life on Mars. Like the Hubble telescope had nothing on my glasses. And it made me look kind of fun. And it made me the perfect target. Because I didn't know it at that time, but people who are insecure about themselves, well, they take it out on other people who look different, who are different. At first, it was just name calling, but things escalated as life went on. I remember in elementary school, 5th grade, we had a kickball tournament, and I didn't get picked last. I didn't get picked. They refused to play until I went inside, because the glasses freak can't play with us. And I was so frustrated and angry by that. I didn't understand why someone would do that, treat me that way. So I went inside and I went to sit in my chair really hard, like kids do when they're mad. And one of my classmates thought it'd be really funny to hold a pen right underneath me as I go to sit down. I just remember thinking, why? What did I do wrong? What is wrong with these? I get to middle school, and it's exactly what it looks like. I was in 6th grade, and we were at play practice. In the middle of play practice, 3 8th grade boys walk up to me. 2 grab my arms, 1 grabbed my legs, and they start dragging me towards the trash can. I start kicking and screaming. I'm like, "Guys, I don't want to go. What are you doing? Please stop. Leave me alone. What did I do?" And with tears streaming down my face, they tossed me in that trash can. And I remember feeling exactly where I was. Trash. thinking that, what did I do to deserve this? What do I need to change so that other people will accept me? What do I need to do so that people will love me? What do I need to do? And so I thought, well, what if I, become part of their world? What if I do the things they do? So I decided to do football. And I remember my very first football practice, 8th grade year, we're stretching, getting ready, no one's paying attention to anything, and one of my teammates comes up from behind me, and he kicks me swiftly and quickly right between the legs. I fall down like a sack of flour because that hurts, and him and his buddy sat on my arms so that 3 other teammates could take turns kicking me while I was down. In between people, in between kicks, all I could say was, please stop, I'm sorry, what did I do? Please stop, I'm sorry. Because again, I thought I had done something wrong. And because I thought I had done something wrong, I started to change. I started to change the way I walked, change the way I talked. I started to change the way I behaved, trying to be more like those people who were picking on me in hopes that maybe they would accept me. But I started to be unkind. I started to become someone who I wasn't proud of, doing things that made me miserable just to impress a group of people I didn't even like. You know what the crazy thing is? That's what social media does to all of us, especially our kids, every single day. It attacks their insecurities. It tells them they're not enough. It tells us they don't belong. And so what do? They change. They change everything about themselves, everything they can to try and fit in, to get some likes, to get some comments, to get some shares so that they can be seen. I've been there, guys. It's not worth it. My tipping point came in high school when I got social media. I remember after I got Facebook and seeing what everything was going on and what everyone was doing, I never felt more alone. Every single day, logging onto the family computer, trying to see what am I missing out on? Does anyone see me? I'm posting, I'm trying to get reactions because I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be loved, I want to be accepted. I want to be somebody. Am I nobody? And then the prank came that almost took my life. One day, freshman year, 15 of my classmates took turns sending me the same message every half hour for 5 hours. A different person every 30 minutes. And that message that would pop up on my device, go kill yourself. They thought they were being funny. They thought they were just joking around. But words hold power. And this set me down a really dark, dark place. I started having intrusive thoughts. Maybe this world would be better off without me. Maybe no one would miss me. Maybe I'm not worth it after all. And the worst part, I started to believe. Now, thankfully, this is not the end of my story. Thankfully, I had wonderful parents, a wonderful support system that was able to help pull me out of this and help me rise above. But unfortunately, this is the end for far too many kids' stories. Stories that end with school shootings or suicide or self-harm or some other tragedy. It's time for us to step in a little bit more. Now, thankfully, one day after school, I had come home. I just was sitting on my bed. I went downstairs to my basement bedroom, and I just cried. Wishing that I could just stop hurting, wishing I could be accepted. And my dad came downstairs, he saw me crying, and I had never told my parents about what had happened with the message thing, with the classmates telling me to kill myself or anything. But he saw that I was struggling, and he asked me a question that really saved my life. And he said, Nate, do you know who you are? And I'm like, Dad, if you don't know who I am, we have different issues that we should be talking about. Like what nursing home to put you in. He said, no, but it sounds like you're letting other people define who you are, and you're listening to them. Why? Why are you giving the worst people in your life all the power over your happiness? And you know what, guys? He was right. I was letting the most unkind people in my life totally dictate my happiness. I was trying to appease to their opinions to totally control my life. And that's exactly what social media is doing to our kids right now. It causes them to change their behaviors, to chase this acceptance, gives them just enough praise to keep them on the line so it can continue to abuse them. Just enough likes, just enough comments, but the algorithm slowly and steadily causing them to compare themselves to the unrealistic expectations of someone else's highlights. And in the meantime, it tries to make us dependent on the praise and opinions of other people, slaves to the opinions of other people. It's not worth it, guys. It's in there. Now, how I turned things around, I had to figure out who I was. I remember me and my dad would map it out all the time. Up on a piece of paper, I'd write, what do I want people to think of when I think of me? Right? Someone who's kind, someone who's respectful. What do I want people to think of? And then on the other side, I write down, well, what do I need to do so that I am that person? So it didn't happen overnight, but when I decided for myself who I wanted to be, social media lost power on me. Bullies lost power on me because I knew who I was. They could do what they wanted, they could say what they wanted, and they did, but that didn't change that I knew for myself who I was. But that was built on the foundation of unconditional love that my parents laid for me. That is our job as parents, to give our kids the foundation, that they are good, that they are smart, that they are loved, that they are enough. And it starts with us. When was the last time you gave your kids a hug? Not just like a side hugging passing, but one of those like embarrassing, holding on to them way too long to where they're like, Mom, stop it, you're embarrassing me. Or when was the last time you told your kids, hey, I love you? Always will. Never doubt that. Sometimes we think it goes without saying, but if we don't say it, sometimes it never gets said and it never gets heard and it never gets done. We need to lay that foundation for our kids. When parents ask me, well, what can I do to help my kid in this crazy digital era? And I say, you gotta first build them up, love them louder than the internet can hate them. And then the second thing we gotta do is start having some really tough conversations. Conversations around sex, pornography, online predators, things that they are going to come into contact with when they get that phone, when they get that social media platform. And then on the other side of the coin, we need to start having some healthy screen boundaries with our kids. You aren't stealing their innocence when you're teaching them about these things. You're preparing them. You're giving them their childhood a fighting chance so that they know what to do when they come into contact with these things. Now, if you think, well, that's too young, my kid is not old enough to comprehend that, this is all too soon. You're probably right. We need to stop giving them smartphones so young. It's funny, most social media platforms say 13 plus for the age. But I want to ask you, are you comfortable with your 13-year-old having unlimited access to pornography? Are you comfortable with your 13-year-old having unlimited access to online predators? If the answer is no, which most psychopaths will also say no, then maybe don't give them a phone yet. Because that is what you are handing over to your kid when you give them a phone. Or rather, that is what you are handing your kid to when you give them that smartphone and social media. Now, if you think that they are prepared and they are ready to encounter that, cool beans. But know that that's what's coming for them. It's your job to get them ready. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. We live in a digital age. Tech's not going anywhere. And it isn't an excuse, though, to give your kid a loaded weapon without teaching them how to use it. It starts with us. Start now. Start teaching them about the things that scare you the most, because fear holds power. Anything that scares you, that thing has power over you. So talk to your kids about it. So it's no longer some forbidden fruit, but it's a boring old thing that mom and dad taught me about, that they're not scared of, and so I am not scared of either. Let them know you love them and always will, so that they will talk to you whenever something comes up, because I promise you, something will come up. And if your reactions to those things are too huge and too wild, that will directly impact their ability to come forward the next time. Now, we always want them to have good tech habits. But then what? Well, one last story, and then I'm going to be out of your hair. So I have 4 kids, okay? I have a almost 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 3-month-old. When my oldest was just a little kid, just barely had teeth, he hated getting his teeth brushed. And so, like, we have to pin his arms down, and I pinch his head between my legs. I brush it, and he's crying, and it's traumatic for everybody. We all need therapy. And so, like, we get up, and I set him up, and he's done, and I put him up on the counter and say, hey, remember, you are strong, you are loved, and you will always be enough. We said it 3 times. It was super cute. He stopped crying. He'd go to bed. That was it. Thank heavens. And over the years, we did that. It became kind of a routine for us. And then a few years ago, we were at just a local high school football game. We're getting out of the van. He sees his reflection in the van. And he's like, I'm strong. I'm like, oh, he listens. What? And then after the football game, he's running down the bleachers like a 3-year-old with no regard for his own personal safety. And he trips. His legs go over his head like a scorpion. And he just goes, duk, 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 shh. I'm like, oh. He's dead. And so I ran over. I'm like, are you okay, buddy? And he sniffed. He breathed a few times. He calmed down. And he said, Dad, I will always be enough. And so if you learn nothing else from me tonight, guys, I need you to know that when life tries to tell you and your kids that you're weak, I need you to know that you're strong. When life tries to tell you that you are not loved, that no one is ever going to want you, I need you to know that you are loved. And when life and social media tries to tell you and your kids that you are insignificant, you and especially your kids need to know that you will always be enough. Guys, there's no room for judgment tonight, but there's plenty of room for growth. A little less screens, a lot more hugs. Be kind, be strong. Thank you.